Hello, friends. How are you? I'm Aunt Nikki of Your Story Hour, and I'm here to read chapters 9 and 10 of our story, The Bluebirds and Their Neighbors, by Neil Wayne Northey. Now, this is the re-recording of the chapters. I recorded them the other day, and apparently my microphone cable wasn't properly plugged in. So now, hopefully you can hear me. And thank you for letting us know, because I missed that it wasn't fully connected. Well, let's go back to what happened to them. All right? Chapter 9. Molly Cottontail hears some news. And if I move right, you can see the bluebirds while I read. We'll try. Whew, puffed Molly Cottontail. I wonder what Tattler the Jay saw that time. He saw Reddy Fox, said Mr. Bluebird, and Reddy was following your trail. Tattler the Jay had not warned Molly Cottontail because he was her friend. Oh, no. No, Tattler the Jay is not a special friend to anyone. In fact, he is an enemy to almost all little birds. You see, Tattler the Jay is a robber. He is also a bully and a murderer. He drives small parent birds out of their nests and takes their eggs or kills their babies. If the owners are too large for him to drive away, he waits until they leave the nest in search of food, and then he steals the eggs. He is a sneak thief. He would probably kill Molly's babies if she did not keep them hidden in a friendly burrow or some other place until they are large enough to hide themselves. And so it was not because of friendship that Tattler the Jay warned Molly. He wanted to make Reddy Fox angry. He likes to meddle in other people's business, and he tells everything he knows. He likes to gossip. Yes, sir. He flies through the woods and across the meadows from morning until night looking for something that he can tell to someone else. That is how he happened to know that Peter Cottontail was staying in the big jungle thicket, and that was the reason that Tattler the Jay happened to be in the brambles along Little River when Reddy Fox came along. Tattler was looking for Molly himself, so he could tell her a big story about Peter. He thought it would be fun to cause Molly to take a wild goose chase in search of Peter. When Molly ran away, he decided that he would follow so he could tell her a story about Peter. He saw Mr. Bluebird on the treelet and stopped to ask him if he had seen Molly pass that way. There was Molly resting and talking to Mr. Bluebird. Ha, 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 laughed Tattler the Jay. How funny Reddy Fox looked when you ran away. It was indeed comical. Ha, ha, ha. Thank you for warning me, said Molly. You saved my life. Tattler the Jay did not care about that. He had had his fun out of it, and he was thinking about how much fun it was going to be to tell Molly about Peter. He couldn't wait any longer. He hopped down near Molly and perched on a little willow tree. Do you know that Peter is in the big jungle thicket on the edge of the Black Forest? He asked Molly. Of course I do, she answered. He went there to look for tender grass shoots to eat. She did not want to say any more about it, and yet she thought that perhaps Tattler the Jay could tell her when Peter was expecting to come home. Have you seen Peter lately? She asked. Only yesterday, said Tattler as he cocked his head to one side and tried to look very wise. And that was when Shadow the Lynx was making a meal of him. Now Molly Cottontail should have known Tattler the Jay well enough to know that he might have been mistaken. She should have waited until she heard more about it from someone who was not such a talker. But what Tattler the Jay had said made her anxious. My, how troubled she was. I am going right over to see if it was Peter, she said, and away she ran. Thumpity, thumpity, thump, thumpity, thumpity, thump. Ha, 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 laughed Tattler the Jay. Won't Molly be surprised when she sees Peter? Ha, ha, ha. Mr. Bluebird thought that was a mean thing to do. He thought that Tattler the Jay should not have worried Molly like that. Some folks think it is great fun to make trouble. They have to keep up they're stirring things up, and Tattler the Jay is one of that kind. Mr. Bluebird didn't like Tattler the Jay. He didn't care to be seen talking to him. He was afraid that someone would see him and think that he was a gossiper too, because people judge us by the companions we keep. And so Mr. Bluebird flew away to the nesting box to see if Mrs. Bluebird had returned from her visit with Bobby White. Here's a picture, and it says, Shadow the Lynx stalks the forest looking for a meal. There you can see him. And see my one eye. Let's read the next chapter. Chapter 10, The Big Snowstorm. After Molly left Tattler the Jay and Mr. Bluebird, she ran until she was out of breath, and then stopped by a friendly burrow. You see, she knew she was so tired that if Ranger the Coyote or Shaggy the Wolf came along, she would not be able to run and escape. So she wanted a friendly burrow handy while she was resting, because she felt safer. She knew that she could tumble into it and escape their white fangs. I told Peter not to go to the Black Forest, said Molly to herself between puffs, but he would go. Now, if I had been with him, I could have watched while he ate and thumped a warning if Shadow the Lynx came near, but he would go alone. Then Molly felt sorry because she had talked so about Peter, even though no one had heard her. It made her feel as we feel when we think unkindly of someone. Even though we say nothing about it to anyone, we feel as if everyone knows our thoughts, and we are ashamed. I must not talk like that about Peter, said Molly. What if he is dead? Oh, I do hope he is safe. I wonder if Tattler the Jay was only fooling. And away Molly went again, as fast as her legs could carry her. In a short time, some gray cloud ships sailed across the sky and hid the laughing yellow sun. Soon the merry little snowflakes were falling thick and fast, and Molly stopped in the shelter of a rabbit bush. I believe we are going to have a storm, she said as she wiggled her nose and sniffed the air. I think I'll build a cozy form and wait until it is over. And so she scratched out a place for a cozy form under the rabbit bush, arranged some dry grass around her for cover, and settled down until she was out of sight. There's a picture. There she is. And the picture says, Not even Reddy Fox could have found Molly, for the great wide world was covered with snow. All right, let's see. I do wish it would stop snowing, she said as she watched the merry little snowflakes sift down. It seems as if all I get done is to build cozy forms. But then I suppose I should not complain, because the snow is what we need to bring up the tender grass shoots. If only I knew about Peter. In a short time, the great wide world was covered with a deep white blanket, and no one could have thought that Molly was hidden under that bush. No, sir, you never would have guessed it, because it looked like many other rabbit bushes around there. Not even Reddy Fox could have found Molly unless he happened to pass quite close. You see, when the merry little snowflakes are falling so fast and the playful air whiffs are taking a rest, Reddy Fox cannot smell Molly far because her scent is smothered to the ground. So Molly felt quite safe in her cozy form. The large bush protected her from the back and side so that Reddy Fox could not pounce upon her from those directions. And she had been quite careful to see that there was no bush in front of her, so that she could bound away without interference if she was discovered. If she was found, she would have to play a game of dodge among the rabbit bushes, because she never could outrun Reddy Fox or Ranger the Coyote or Shaggy the Wolf, especially in deep snow. After a while, it began to grow dark, and Molly could hear Screecher the Owl making a terrible noise from his old hollow stub in the Black Forest. Of course, Molly was not afraid of Screecher, because she knew he was quite harmless, even though he sounds like a monster. Sometimes we see people who are like that. They make a big noise to scare other people, but that is all it amounts to. Then we call them bluffers. In the night, Molly heard a strange noise. She was not quite sure what was making it. It was not a growl, and it was not a scream. Sometimes it sounded far away, and then it seemed to be quite close. It could hardly have been called a groan or a moan or a shriek. In fact, it would have been impossible to describe it. Now I wonder what that is, thought Molly. It doesn't sound like Growler the bear or Shadow the lynx or Screecher the owl. It could not be Whistler the marmot, because he would be asleep tonight. Then Molly noticed that the playful air whiffs were moving the brush at her back. Now I know what is making that noise, thought Molly. The playful air whiffs are rubbing two trees together and causing a tree squeak. So she settled down for a nap. Molly did not sleep long. She was awakened by the sound of something walking. Tramp, tramp, tramp. It was not loud in the soft snow, but it was too loud to be Reddy the fox or Ranger the coyote or Shaggy the wolf. Molly perked up her ears and listened. Tramp, tramp, tramp. It was coming nearer. Her heart began to thump. It might be Nero the hound out on an early morning hunt. But no, Nero the hound would not make that heavy a tread. Tramp, tramp, tramp. It was almost to Molly's hiding place. When it got right by her rabbit bush, it stopped, and Molly's heart almost stopped too, when her bush began to move. Something was eating twigs off her bush. Molly knew that anything that ate twigs was not likely to harm her, so she waited. Soon she smelled the breath of Old Bent Horn the cow. And Molly settled down again with a sigh of relief, knowing that there was no harm near. "My, how you frightened me," she said to Old Bent Horn. Old Bent Horn jumped with astonishment when she heard a noise coming from the bush on which she was browsing. "Is that you, Molly?" she asked. "Yes, it is I," replied Molly. "How does the world look outside?" Old Bent Horn bit off another mouthful of twigs. "It's hard to find anything to eat," she said, "because the tender grass shoots are hidden, but it looks as if we would have a nice day, for the laughing yellow sun is beginning to peep over the old homestead." "I do hope it is nice," said Molly, "because I must see if I can find Peter." The end. And here's a picture of Old Bent Horn. And the little thing says, Old Bent Horn jumped with astonishment. "Is that you, Molly?" she asked. Well, thank you for listening with us again. I would love to hear from you guys what you think about the story. What are some of your favorite parts? What are you doing? Are you enjoying it? Are you coming back for more? You can let us know by leaving a comment on this video, or you can email us, or you can send us letters, because we always love to hear from you guys. I hope you are all staying well and safe and enjoying. Take care. Bye-bye.